Welcome to another episode of the Traveling Hoopers podcast. I am your host, Alan Pettigrew Jr., and in front of me are my two best friends in the world. Guys, go ahead and let the people hear your voice.
Once again, everybody, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Calvin McGowan, and I just started watching wrestling, which has nothing to do with anything, but yeah.
Okay, this is Phillip Dixon, aka Tired Boy Wonder. Good, sweepy, but that's just part of life. You feel me? So,
I like the sweepy. And Calvin's athletics, baby. It's all in the same boat. Entertainment, my friend. Guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with a Draymond Green inspired version of the tip off. Philip, let him have.
a Draymond Green inspired version of the tip off. That is exactly what this is. Now, there are two things I want to go along this Green route with. The first thing is a very topical one, being the flagrant two that he received during the game against Memphis Grizzlies, which resulted in him getting kicked out of the game. One, he definitely deserved the flagrant two because if you're saying that he didn't deserve the flagrant two, you are ignoring the fact that he not only hit him in the face and the head, but then he grabbed his shirt on the way down. And it's not as if his hand went into his shirt on accident to pull down. He crumpled his hand around the collar and brought it down. You can't just fake that. So if people are going, oh, it's just built off reputation, that's right. Yes, because he's been doing the same things for years. Once again, not doing different things and getting flagrant two for different things. He's been doing the exact same things for years, which, spoiler alert, are going to result in a flagrant two once again. What is it? The definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result? No, this must be insane because he keeps doing the same things over and over again, thinking or maybe hoping for a different result. The result is going to be a flagrant two. Now, people are going to say today, it didn't matter. It did matter. You got lucky. Klay Thompson don't ever miss those free throws. John Morant don't ever miss those kinds of layups. You got very lucky. So you probably should try not do these things again. I would say, man, I love Dennis Rodman, the way I would have hated Dennis Rodman if I was alive and really thinking about the game of basketball game, thinking about the game of basketball in the 90s. I would have thought this man was the worst because Draymond Green is essentially doing the same similar but different antics. You know what I mean? So when he gets his flagrant two, he gets out of the game, he's jumping up and skipping down the hands in the air, doing all that kind of stuff. I'm like, get out the gym so we can get the game going, you corny, corny, corny man. I was so frustrated watching this man because he's literally trying to put out there that that shouldn't have been a flagrant two. And Steph Curry's like, oh, this is bad for the game. Whatever, Steph Curry. You shooting these threes. Yeah, that's definitely great for the game. Whatever. So he has no say about what's good and bad for the game. But also, Draymond Green, we all know, we all understand that we're not playing in 2006. We're not playing in 1994. This is basketball in 2022. You know exactly what the results are going to be for the actions you take on the court. So don't be surprised that when you hit a man in the head and then actively pull down on his jersey afterwards as he's on his way up, won't result in what this is, you dumb, dumb man. Secondly, I don't know how I feel about Draymond Green being some what are they called? Like on-site reporter every single game. He put his little shades on and talk about his game and talk about the games and other playoff games afterwards. I personally like the divide between analyst and, in-game individual, right? I personally like the divide. I'm not sure that what Draymond Green is doing in terms of talking about each game afterwards, putting across a very specific narrative, is good for is adding anything excuse me, is adding anything to because I almost said not good for. I just want to scratch that. I want to say it's not adding anything to the game. He's not adding anything. And for me, it's either you got to be adding something in terms of like basketball intellect or adding something in terms of entertainment. It's not entertaining, right? He's sitting there, his little muffled up. Listen, this man's a millionaire, and why he looking like us? Like, I'm being real with you. Why he looking worse than us? This man a millionaire. Come on, Draymond, step it up. But also, he's given some analytics, but like not even analytics. He's given some like point of view and thought process, but like it's not even like dumbfounding to where like you're like, whoa, I never thought about that. I can't. I thought about the whole different way, changing my mind on something. He don't change nobody's mind. JJ Redick changes people's minds about what they say, right? To use a basketball example, but he don't change nobody's mind on nothing, and he's not entertaining. TNT, they entertaining. How you less entertaining than ESPN? How you less entertaining than Michael Wilbur? Right? He essentially is. And so I just wanted to tip that Draymond Green's antics on the court, Draymond Green's not necessarily antics, but his on-site reporting or something like that. That I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying my life as a person who watches a lot of basketball and takes in a lot of basketball information via podcast, radio, YouTube, TV, whatever. That if you just take him and his platform out of it, don't change my life.
So I haven't watched any of these Draymond updates. Like I just don't have any interest in it. Like Draymond's a cool dude, but like I kind of like his tweets. That's about it. So is he basically like interviewing himself?
Yes. I mean, like I didn't think about that in that kind of way or context, but that's essentially what it is. He's interviewing himself. And listen, I don't interview triple singles. Why do you deserve an interview? Why do you deserve an interview? You saw something from a Burger King menu. Like that don't make no sense. It's I I don't know. And it's funny because I was watching like them talking about like there's like a video of like ESPN had like put out like on like giving out assists like Steph Curry kind of stuff, and they were all chest passes. Steph Curry was doing the amazing things. Like he was taking shots that should not be good shots, and they weren't good shots. But for Steph Curry, they're just shots. You know what I mean in terms of 3-point line. And I'm just like, are we really saying Draymond's IQ is that high when he just be giving people chest passes that are incredibly talented? But whatever, that's another situation for a different day.
Hey, you don't know what he's doing to set up those plays, Phillip. Like that's
Yeah, you're right.
I just don't feel like having this conversation for like the 13th time.
It needs to be had for the 15th time. You are setting a brush screen and handing the ball off. You don't even look to score. You just passing the ball and then shooting your open threes and breaking them. Whatever. I'm done. But that's not. Well, that's the point right now. The point was those two initial things I said. That is a point. That I'm not sure how to feel about the on-site reporting of Draymond Green, but also like he did deserve that flagrant too.
There. Speaking of which, are the Memphis Grizzlies just about to like force Draymond to actually play offense? Because there's no reason why you guard Draymond at this point. Like he can't shoot. Like he's not really a threat to drive. Like, do you just give him space and be like, do something besides pass it to everybody else?
I mean, like the thing is that's the thing to do, but you're gonna want him on the floor for that to work. Like if hypothetically he gets another flagrant, he's gonna miss. That would be like the better part of 3 games as a result of a flagrant, hypothetically, and like, yeah, like that strategy only works when he's on the floor. So but it might work. It'd probably be something I'd try.
See, the thing is, that makes it so difficult though is, okay, you can back up off Draymond Green, but he don't want to score. Like, I don't mean it actively. He actively, because like, okay, so for a lot of other people and a lot of other people who have teams, if you back up off him, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you put him in 95% of other teams in the NBA, you drop him in one of those scenarios. You back up off him, you can play defense on everybody else. Mm-hmm. But Steph Curry makes difficult shots and is in such good shape, and Klay Thompson makes such difficult shots and is good shape, and Poole does the exact same thing now, that him just running around and setting brush screens and handing the ball off and all that kind of stuff, they are able to finish the job because they're making really, really difficult plays. You backing up off him don't mean nothing because he doesn't want to shoot the ball. He'll shoot the ball if he has to, but he don't want to.
Like, here's the thing though. All right, so if we talk about backing up off Draymond, it's not just, oh, I'm daring this man to score, which yes, you are. You do like want him to try and take shots because, as we've established, he is offensively challenged at the NBA level, and has been for a little minute now. But right, like hypothetically, and like I don't remember who guarded who too much from last game. Like hypothetically, right, for the Grizzlies, like Brandon Clark spends most of his time on Draymond for some reason. That's probably not what's happening because Brandon Clark's a pretty solid defender. But you have him back up off Draymond. You basically want him on a free range defender. Actually, in that case, you might want Jaren Jackson Jr. on him most of the time because shot blocking and such. But the person on Draymond is basically running free range defender. Your only job is to play help defense, right? Like somebody has a pick, like like I would have them over help on the pick, force them to make that pass to Draymond. If Draymond hits 30, we'll live with that. It's like it might be the last time he does it in his career. Question: what's his career high?
I'm looking it up because I'm trying to figure out the last time he at least scored like 20, and I just it's a head scratcher. So I'm looking through game logs now. Last time Draymond had 20, he had 16 this year.
Whoa,
cool. That's not what I asked though.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna find a Draymond scoring a 30. Like, I'm really gonna look this up because
the funny thing is, all the other people in like basketball history that have if not the same, but similar roles as Draymond Green. A good amount of them played for like other teams, so you can like gauge like how good were they really, or what was their usefulness or benefit really. You know what I mean? Uh, has been in not the exact same system, but a very similar system. Um, or with Golden State, or he's been in the Olympics with all the best players in the world. So you can't really gauge really accurately just how talented he really is. It's very strange. He's going to the Hall of Fame, but he's probably the hardest person to actually gauge about benefit that translates to more than just Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
That's fair, but like I would say that like even with that though, like you can still look and be like they can't play the type of defense they play like at the moment. Like the way the NBA plays defense now would not be how they play defense if he didn't exist. Like he but also what I mean that is like prior to him and prior to like, Golden State, dudes like him didn't like who were like people we considered like the NBA considered like tweeners and whatever, right? Not sure if you're a 3 or a 4 or whatever. Those dudes didn't stick in the league, most of them, or they found a specific spot. And like while you don't want him on everybody all the time, he was the first. He was one of the like. I can't really think of anybody else who you like when like Golden State really started to hit, who people were like, yeah, he can guard 1 through 5. People also weren't really looking for that then either.
They weren't. You're right. They weren't looking at that. But I think that for him specifically, he has the fortunate circumstance, I guess, to be able to focus on that side of the basketball because of the situation he's in offensively, but also defensively. Klay Thompson pre Achilles and ACL was no slouch defensively. You know what I mean? And so for a long time, Draymond guarded the best, fours, fives, and threes sometimes of the other team, but Klay Thompson was guarding the best ones and twos. Yeah. So for a long time, we didn't even get a chance to see Draymond guard the guards. So people were saying, yeah, he can guard 1 through 5. It was like, yeah, sure, he can guard 1 through. He can guard a 1 or 2 on one possession or 2 possessions of the game, but that wasn't his job. Because they had Klay Thompson who was there to guard them the high majority of the time, and it wasn't just like 1 through 2. Klay Thompson was guarding the best guard every single time because Steph Curry is going to get cooked on defense. So Klay Thompson was taking the brunt of, and since that's been a thing, NBA is a guard-heavy league. You know what I mean? Like when Draymond really started popping off, and oh my God, Golden State, this, whatever. At the very beginning, the best in the NBA was DeMarcus Cousins. Honestly, right? And so Giannis wasn't what Giannis was today. And all the big men we see who are like really dominating today.
Why does it?
Draymond hasn't had the guard here. So,
the dominant DeMarcus Cousins sounds like so long ago, bro. That's like 5 years ago.
It does
because he hasn't been healthy since he left the Pelicans.
That's very true.
Was that 2017?
Yeah. Hey, I got some fun stats for you guys. The last time Draymond Green had scored 20 points in a basketball game was December 25th, 2019.
3 years.
I'm not gonna lie, that feels more recent than I was expecting you to say.
Oh, his last 30-point game is even better. It is Game 7 in the finals, which they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers on June 19th, 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
I appreciate you refining this. I have no idea how you did it, but good job.
Yeah, game logs, ESPN. Shout out to you guys. Yeah, no, that's hilarious. Like, go. You know how like they show you how many points you scored or like what your average was for like a month, I don't think he's ever had until the playoffs come. He has not had a month, like consecutive months of double figure scoring.
I
It's
just
kind
find
of
it
wild.
interesting. I just find it interesting that since Michigan State, and college is a whole another monster. We all know it is. But since Michigan State, he has always played on a team with the world's greatest something.
I mean,
You know what I mean? Like, and it's
well,
funny
like,
because okay, never mind. Continue.
no, I'm just like, that's like the whole thing with not just Draymond, but a lot of dudes in the league is like a lot of how a career shakes out or like how dudes develop can depend in a lot of ways on where they end up, like when they get drafted and whatever, pretty much.
But Draymond Green's smart because even Scottie Pippen played for Portland. Draymond Green setting himself up to retire a Golden State Warrior, like with Klay Thompson, with Steph Curry. They might continue on. He will retire because he's already making that transition towards like and he's making that transition toward TNT analyst essentially, right? He's gonna retire before we ever have a chance to see him transition with another player or another team somewhere else before he gets traded. I'd bet a house on it.
Well, I mean, one, if I was him, I probably wouldn't want to play anywhere else at this point. I've spent my entire career with these dudes. I presumably, I'm pretty sure they all like each other, right? And they
Mhm.
have a bunch of rings at this point. Um, if I am him, right, like Scotty didn't like nobody talks about the Portland Trailblazers with Scottie Pippen for good
It's true.
reason.
It's true.
Scotty was already old. Jordan had already retired. Like he probably just wasn't the same player anymore by and large.
I mean, but he wasn't the same player. He also had those 2 years, 2 year and a half, whatever, when Jordan retired the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, I'm just use that as an example of like even the greatest like assists all around players. We say all around players like assists,
Mm-hmm.
rebound, whatever defender players.
Mm-hmm.
We have all seen them. We have seen them all play in different situations and scenarios, and he intelligently is setting himself up to never be that way. So he will never get exposed. Because I remember at one point he was talking to Paul Pierce crazy. Like, you man, you ain't so and so. Why you did it? You getting a jersey retired and a little ceremony, all that stuff. He is never what Paul Pierce was. Like people want to forget pre 2010 Paul Pierce was a like he was a monster. And he turned crazy to him. So as soon as you take him out of a scenario where he's not surrounded by the greatest insert name, insert skill, then all that talk he did for all those years literally is null and void.
Well,
So
like here's the
he's
thing though. I don't think he thinks he's on Paul Pierce's level, right? Like I don't think he thinks he's like I don't here's when I say that, like I don't think he's confused about what his role is. Right now he talks a lot of shit. All right, he does. This is known. He is a very competitive dude, but like I don't think he is delusional in terms of being like he knows he's not gonna go somewhere and put up like 30 and 10 a night. He's not really trying to.
see, I don't think he's delusional by any means. I think he knows exactly where he fits. But there are a lot of really stupid basketball fans. So as long as he can put himself in a position to where there's an argument amongst the fans, his legacy is solidified. The fans, and especially this Golden State fan base, as long as he can pull a wool over their eyes by putting himself in the best situation possible, according to the fans, he don't have to say a word for the rest of his career. The fans will go, this, that, whatever, because he didn't allow them to take him out of a certain context. And that is a very, and I want to reiterate this, and I'm a not a Draymond fan. But that is a very intelligent thing to do. It is. It's very smart and intelligent thing to do. Because if you leave your legacy up in the fans' hands, and all of a sudden you've only been in positive situations your entire time, they will forget about that time we were on the World Cup team or the World Cup team and you didn't play no minutes. They'll forget all about that because that was one specific time throughout your time with Golden State and the Olympic team when not all the best players in the world played and all.
Folks also don't pay attention to the basketball world.
Exactly.
Title.
But he's okay with that because the more popular basketball gets, the worse takes you're going to get because there's going to be a lot more people talking about basketball that don't know about basketball, right? So analogy would be Trump became president. You had a lot of people talking politics who didn't know nothing about politics. So you saw how really dumb people were when it came to politics. Basketball, the more popular it gets, is going to become the exact same thing. And the more popular it becomes, and the more that mindset becomes, the more Draymond Green's legacy doesn't become, man, context this, context that. It is, he won so many championships, and he played for so many years, and he was the best defender on the team the entire time. That's it.
So, okay, two things. One, we need to move on from this. But two, what I will say though, right, is it it's like I get what you're saying, but like that it would be that I'm assuming it would be a not entirely different argument for what was buddy's name? I'm trying to make sure I get the right one. I'm pretty sure Casey Jones, who played with Bill Russell back when he was winning all them rings, right? He was the point guard, and it's like, yeah, you have the rings argument, but like nobody's putting him as an all timer for real.
Shoot, ain't his name on the top 75?
Casey Jones?
I think he might be on there.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
It's like 8 or 9 Celtics. When there should
That
probably
doesn't
be
surprise
like,
me, but
I mean, okay, how about this?
I don't remember.
I think it's this, and I literally ended on this. You have not once on a mainstream level, right? Because remember, most of the people get their takes from Stephen A. Smith. You have not heard once that somebody called Draymond Green a system player when he's only played in 1 to 2 systems his entire NBA career.
Like
two, right? Sure. And how far off and how big is a change that Steph Curry or that Steve Kerr does from Mark Jackson? It's not crazy different. Like it's not worlds different, right? It was just the growth and experience of the players became more. That's pretty solidified.
Yeah.
The term system player is never used for Draymond, and it's pretty remarkable how he has avoided that his entire career. And you can only give the credit of that to Draymond Green himself.
True. And Calvin, you are correct. That is Sam Jones, not Casey Jones. And just because we on the Draymond topic, I don't want it to be just hate the entire time. Playoff Draymond has really good stats. I'm not gonna lie. Well,
he only plays in games he thinks matters.
No,
wait,
like literally.
What are the stats?
Okay, so it's not gonna be nothing mind blowing. I'll tell you that now. But he almost averages a double with 12.5 points per game, 9.3 rebounds, and 6 assists.
Listen, you said he
what are his percentages?
You said a triple double, and then you said he almost averages a double. That made me laugh. But 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. And that's with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and a little bit of KD. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. Also has 1.6 steals and 1.5 blocks per game. Shooting free throws at 74%, but just go ahead and round it up. Basically 32% from the 3-point line. One year he shot 41% from the 3-point line, which was 2017.
Was early in the year.
You said what?
Not early.
Yeah,
27,
Yeah,
19?
that was when they were out here winning rings and such.
yeah. And then 45% from the field. So,
Okay.
it's not bad, but I
You gonna
wouldn't.
be in the Hall
All
of
right.
Fame.
I'm not talking
On
about
that,
getting my Draymond.
Not
on
bad.
that, I mean,
You gonna be in the
like,
Hall
I
of Fame.
probably would, but like, on that note though, what was it you would ask me like prior to starting? It was something about the Grizzlies Warriors series or something.
Yes. Shouldn't they just force Draymond to like try to be an offensive threat? Like just give him space. Every time he has the ball, just like do something. And
Like,
leave. Hmm.
oh yeah, that was just starting to tell you like before. I'm like, all right, let's start. It's like that's probably, but like what I would do right is all right. Let's say hypothetically we start with Jaren Jackson Jr. on Draymond by default. I don't really know what they're doing. I don't remember what they're doing as far as matchups, and it'll probably change tomorrow. But like I would probably have Jaren Jackson on Draymond and just literally just have him drop off, right? Free range defender, right? Help on like help double team on like pick and rolls, right? Stay close to the rim because he's been a good shot blocker, though he can rack up fouls really really quickly. But he's great if he can stay on the floor. Um,
So Draymond's just gonna take advantage of that. So you got to have another defender on him.
well, here's the thing. I would just tell him play all the way out. Like, don't even try and play Draymond for real, right? Like, if he comes around the rim trying to put it up, yeah, send it into the stands or whatever. But like I'm not gonna ask him to play defense on Draymond when Draymond's behind the arc. I don't even want you to pretend like you're playing defense on Draymond. And like if he hits us up for like 35, it is what it is. Because like he did his job. But like you don't want him getting the ball to everybody else. That's a much more dangerous situation.
35 would be his career high.
That changes nothing.
At all. All right, since we're talking about this Warriors Grizzlies matchups, I feel like this is the series that kind of reminds me of the Boston Celtics versus the Brooklyn Nets, where like all our eyes are fixed on here. It's like, oh, this could be a really good series. Game one is literally a nail biter, but I don't think this is gonna like be a long series. Like
Oh, no.
games best. We're talking about 5 games best. I think the Warriors are going to take advantage of the Grizzlies' youth, and this might be a this is going to be a battle of the coaches, and I mean that almost for like solidification things. Like if Steve Kerr does not make adjustments on here, it goes right back to us being like, all right, probably not top 15 all time. We'll find somebody else to replace him. And then we look at your guy Taylor Jenkins, right?
Mm-hmm.
We look at your guy Taylor Jenkins, like, okay, if he can really make something happen, like even if they push it to like 6 games, depending on what he does, this will solidify him as being like a serious coach. Not where we're like he's the younger coach pushing like this younger scrappy group, but being like, okay, you're actually able to do something here. So I feel like this matchup has like a lot of implications to it that we don't talk about as much outside of this one possibly just being like fun, and we got like the newer face of the NBA versus the dude who's kind of been like the man for the past 5 years.
Huh. Like that that's actually a solid point. I'm gonna be real. I as much as I want them to, I don't think the Grizzlies will win this one just because like that inexperience that you talked about. But also, it feels like comparing like even their last game against Minnesota to this first game against Golden State, it almost feels like playing to the level of your opponent on some level, right? Whereas like We don't think Minnesota's that good. So like we don't play that good, and like they take us to 6 games. But like we take Golden State serious, and like Jaren Jackson Jr. shot out of his mind. Granted, the dudes we actually weren't shooting the ball on a consistent basis. Forgot how. No, like I think they're combined like 3 of like 20 from deep, like Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bain, where they shot very poorly. From correction, 3 of 14, which is better. But Jaren Jackson Jr. shot 6 of 9 from deep, which probably won't happen too often because if he decides, you know what, I'm just gonna keep shooting it like I did in that game, I would very much appreciate that. But like, he's gonna come back with a different jumper tomorrow. I just know it. Yes, sir.
Oh no, I was done. Never mind.
But like, both teams had some issues, right? Golden State, Klay Thompson missed a lot of threes. Wiggins, fairness, I don't think he's ever been an amazing three-point shooter, but he went 1 of 5 from deep. That said, Steph Curry went 5 of 12. Jordan Poole went 5 of 10. This is just from deep. And like we got out rebounded, which we can't really have happen with the size advantage and just general athleticism advantage. And like I also don't think Desmond Bain and Dylan Brooks are going to continue to shoot as poorly as they did in game 1. Which is something that should probably concern the Warriors a little bit, if for no other reason than like, as a coach, we're talking about coaches. With the thing about the Grizzlies backcourts, you have decisions to make, right? And when we talk about like the Timberwolves, they made their decision, which is no matter what happens, we are not letting Ja get to the rim. And Desmond Bain ate them alive with one of the wildest shooting displays I have ever witnessed. Just he hit everything from back there all series. It was great. But like maybe what the Warriors decided to do is to let Ja cook more or less and like live with that. But like they barely scraped by this in game 1 doing that. Granted, there were some really strange foul calls at various, well, not even fouls, like possession changes and such at various points. Like there was a jump ball like near the end of the game because the ball went out of bounds and like the refs didn't know who. Look, you're muted.
Oh, you mean the one where they did the jump ball instead of like
Yeah.
like doing the play?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was listening on the radio, and the ESPN analysts were or broadcasters were so confused, and like literally to the point where they're going, "Wow, wow!" Like it was like so confusing, like why they decided to do that at that point. It was like, yeah, the referees have like the discretion to choose. I'm like, that seems like somebody game on sport.
So,
That's what it sounded like to me. That's really what it sounded like. Somebody got money down. Like because that didn't make no sense.
okay. It didn't. I'm not gonna lie, it didn't. But like, if I was to so my limited understanding now is like, I think because of people constantly complaining about the fact that like there was a point where it's like it seemed like every play at the end of games was being reviewed. That they changed the rules, like unless it's a challenge, they can't review it.
Ooh, it's the playoffs.
Right? But
If
like,
there's any a time to be doing it, it's now.
oh, I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with you. I'm just saying. And so like they can't. So apparently, I guess they can't go to the monitor in the last couple minutes unless it's a challenge. Granted, I'm not going. while like it did benefit us, I don't really know like why they were unaware that it should have been Golden State's ball. Like I'm not complaining for obvious reasons, but it still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, man. No, I no Draymond in game 2 is really going to. I feel like that's going to be
I
the.
no, I
What's
think
up?
he's gonna be in game 2. I'm pretty sure.
I thought
He
I thought with the
mm,
flagrant 2, he out of here.
no, so like I'm trying to remember. So like I think the way it's set up, I don't think if he gets I think if he gets another flagrant or like 2 more flagrant ones or something, then he's gonna miss a game. So he
No,
should be in game 2.
let me make sure because I thought I just saw something that said Draymond out of here. And,
Well, while you do that, I would like to point out the fact that shout out to Joel Embiid. That was messed up. He's out for game 1.
Mhm.
Kyle Lowry's also out for game 1. But James Harden still has not been looking like James Harden. But he also has Tobias Harris, Maxey, and some other players around him. And people want to forget that like he was James Harden from the Rockets. But like, you know, James Harden needs to step up so they don't fall behind because with Joel Embiid, some Sixers win. Without him, it's gonna be looking real, real, real tough.
Uh, let's see. Uh, I'm just peeping at the game. It's like okay. Uh, well, I guess we'll have a series where Jimmy Butler eats James Harden alive. I'm okay with this timeline.
Hey, and it's a bunch of wing defenders over there too, so he's going to have to see a lot of bodies. And even Bam Adebayo can move his feet a little bit on the perimeter, so it's going to be fun. Well, not for James Harden, of course, but
I like
the
James
rest
Harden.
of us.
So
You
whatever.
said what?
I like James Harden.
Yeah, I feel like your man's is lightly cooked. Like
Say it again.
I feel like your man's is lightly cooked, like medium well.
Okay, that's fine. Uh, that's fine. I he not gonna he doesn't age. Not everybody's LeBron James. So I'm okay with that. Or Chris Paul apparently. I'm okay with that though. I still like James Harden though. Always have. He a bucket getter.
Yeah, go vegan, stay out of strip clubs. That's how you gotta do. Oh snap! And get a
So you let him
wife.
have man have fun in his life. Let that man have fun. Let that man live.
Oh, I'm not saying he can't have fun. I'm just saying,
No, you
that'll
pretty much
save you a hamstring or two.
this man injured one time his whole career. All of a sudden, people tell him to change a whole lifestyle change. Man, let this man live. Hey, James, do what you want to do. You want to go to the strip club, go to the strip club. You want to eat barbecue and whatever it is in Houston or in Philadelphia, do what you got to do. Whatever it is, though, do it on like a lighter end, though. Don't excess.
Uh,
Don't be so gluttonous.
This man will rock with detrimental behavior, but interviewing yourself is that's off limits.
I will rock with detrimental behavior when you like a top 3 individual scorer of all time.
You
Like
got a point.
not when you almost average a double double in playoffs and somehow get into the Hall of Fame.
Guys, I think that's a good stopping
I,
point right there.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm if we keep this up, I'm just gonna say some wild stuff to go off, y'all. So it's time to go.
Ooh, no. You got to say your
No,
wild thing, then we can get
no,
out of here.
no. I
All
will
right.
not do that.
Since Calvin is a chicken, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Traveling Hoopers podcast. I have been your host, Alan Pettigrew Jr., and in front of me are my 2 best friends in the world, and they're going to go ahead and sign out for us.
Once again, everybody, I'm Calvin McGowan. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for joining us. You can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast. If you're joining us on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, leave something in the comments.
And tell us how pretty we are.
And
We like that.
and
Except Phillip.
I hope Ja can keep his shooting up from game 1. That was nice.
I was just confused about the whole "tell us how pretty you are" thing, but we'll continue on. My name's Phillip
I like
Dixon.
compliments.
Don't get him much. Um, my name's Phillip Dixon, aka I Got Nothing, Philly Hungy, and Traveling Hoopers podcast.